Okay, so for the longest time I've said this. Foldable phones are cool, but they're not for everyone. They've always felt like early adopter devices. Interesting, experimental, but not practical enough for most people. And the reason is simple. They always came with compromises. Now go back to the beginning, when foldables first showed up, like the original Galaxy Fold. It was exciting. A phone that folds in half, that felt like the future. But using it, that was a different story. You had thick bodies, weird outer displays, mediocre cameras, questionable durability, and of course, that crease right down the middle. It was one of those products where you loved the idea more than the actual experience. But every year after that, things started improving, slowly but consistently. Foldables got thinner, lighter, stronger hinges, better displays, bigger batteries, more powerful chips, and one by one, those compromises started disappearing, which brings us to this, the Oppo Find N6. And yeah, I know it sounds like a bold claim, but this might actually be peak foldable. Let's start with the most important thing, how it feels as a normal phone, because that's always been the biggest weakness. Previous foldables, you could use the outer screen, but you didn't really want to. They felt narrow, awkward, and compromised. But this? From the front, this just looks like a regular smartphone. A proper 6.6-inch display, normal proportions, comfortable one-handed use. If you didn't know this was a foldable, you probably wouldn't even notice. And the physical feel backs that up too. It's under 9 millimeters thick, around 230 grams. That's basically the same as flagship slob phones like the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So before you even unfold it, this already feels like a complete phone. No compromises. Now, open it up, and you get that big internal display. But we'll come back to that in a second, because the internals matter too. Historically, foldables struggled with hardware limitations, smaller batteries, weaker cameras, less powerful chips, because fitting everything into a folding body is hard. But now, that's changed. This phone packs a 6,000 milliamp hour battery, which is actually bigger than a lot of regular phones. Fast charging, 80-watt wired, 50-watt wireless. So battery anxiety, not really a thing here. Performance-wise, you're getting a flagship-level processor, not some cut-down version, not mid-range. This is full power, smooth, fast, responsive, everything you expect. There's even a dedicated chip for better connectivity, so again, no compromises. Cameras used to be another weak spot, but now this thing is stacked. 200 megapixel main sensor, 50 megapixel ultra-wide, 50 megapixel telephoto. These are proper flagship cameras. Sure, physically, they still have less depth to work with because the phone folds, but in real-world use, you're getting high-end results. Now let's talk about the real headline feature, the display. Because for years, the crease has been the biggest reminder that you're using a foldable. Most of the time, you don't notice it, but then the light hits it just right, or your finger slides across it, and yeah, it's there. But this time, it's different. This phone introduces what they call a no-feel crease. And I'll be honest, I was skeptical, but using it, it's actually impressive. When you open the phone, you're looking at an 8.1-inch display. Bright, smooth, responsive. But more importantly, the crease is basically gone. If you really look for it, yeah, you might find a tiny trace, but compared to previous foldables, this is on another level. And the reason is the engineering. The hinge system here is extremely advanced. They're scanning each hinge at a microscopic level, filling tiny imperfections with custom materials, smoothing everything down to near perfection. We're talking about reducing variations to fractions of a millimeter, less than half the thickness of a human hair. And the result? A display that finally feels flat, not almost flat, actually flat. And it even supports a stylus, 4,000 plus pressure levels, works on both displays, charges wirelessly. So if you're into drawing, notes, productivity, this actually adds real value. So now step back and look at the full picture. Thin? Check. Battery? Check. Performance? Check. Cameras? Check. Durability? Check. Crease? Check. Every major issue with foldables has basically been solved, which means this is no longer a special device. This is just a normal phone that happens to fold. And that's a big deal, because now we're at a point where the technology is mature, which brings up the obvious question. What happens when Apple enters this space? Because Apple usually doesn't rush. They wait. They let everyone else experiment, figure things out, and then they come in with a refined version. So if a foldable iPhone is coming, this is the moment where it actually makes sense. And from what we're hearing, it might look a little different. A more compact outer screen and a wider internal display, almost like a mini tablet when opened. But the real question is, what's Apple's version of this going to be? What's the Apple advantage here? Because right now, foldables have finally reached a point where they don't need to prove themselves anymore. We're here. This is peak foldable. The only thing left is, do you actually switch to one? All right, thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one.